If you haven't noticed, ads are starting to look less like this now and more like this. And some people are calling this racist, which is so fried that it's not even worth talking about. Well, I see other people saying like, "Oh, we're so back." Like this is some cultural turning point or return to better times. So let's talk about what changed with marketing recently and why it's working and why you shouldn't fall for it. So growing up with the internet, there's a few things that you can't stand. And at the top of that list is ads. Google, YouTube, Instagram, whatever it is, if something is labeled as an ad, I'm not watching that shit. My brain automatically knows just to ignore it. Then you got the TV, which is a whole nother thing. The only time I'm really watching TV is certain sports, like if it's the Yankees game. And the second the commercials go on, like my brain just turns off. You'll look at older people and they'll sit there and actually watch the ads, which is crazy. But for me, I'm ignoring that shit. The chances of me watching an ad somewhere and being like, now I want to buy that thing are zero. And that's not just me, right? That's most people that grew up with the internet. I had a professor say something to me in college that stuck with me, which is nuts because nothing stuck with me in college. I was just fried all the time. But he said if something tries to make you feel anything, you should automatically be suspicious. And that stuck with me because when you look at ads through that lens, you see right through the bullshit. You start to see the emotions that they're pushing on you to buy shit. Like whether you're sad, angry, whatever. They're trying to make you feel something to buy something. So for the past 10 or so years, that emotion that these companies have been pushing is, look how much we care. You should buy our shit because we're the ones giving a voice to the silenced. You know what I mean? I can't even say it with a straight face. They couldn't reach young people, and they know that young people care about social issues. So they said, all right, we'll care about social issues. That way they'll buy our shit. And this is how the woke strategy is born. And it must have been working at some point because for years we've had some nutty ass advertising. I mean, we saw Kendall Jenner stopping a police brutality protest with a Pepsi can. I mean, talk about out of touch. The fitness brand started promoting being fat. They made the mannequins fat. I'll never forget the Battlefield trailer for a game set in World War I, where the main character, the main protagonist in the trailer, was a woman who had like one arm or some shit. I don't think paraplegic women were in the trenches back in World War I. And I'll touch on this later, but the new Battlefield marketing campaign will prove my point perfectly. There's countless examples of this. I mean, insane ad campaigns that I don't want to be here all day listing them. But this out of touchness, we'll call it, peaked last year, I think, when Jaguar dropped this rebrand that made the Kendall Jenner shit look based, right? It was like a bunch of extraterrestrial looking people dancing around with hammers on some freaky deaky shit, like weird music. It was like some kind of ritual rebrand for Jaguar, the sports car company, right? And, the thing is that ad probably would have worked in 2018, but it dropped last year. So you know how many cars Jaguar sold last year? 49. 49 is crazy. I could hit the streets and sell 49 bags of actual dog shit if you gave me a year to do it. They got cooked, the same way that Bud Light got cooked. And there's a lesson that I think we could all learn from this that I'm going to get to at the end. What's funny about these corporations is that because they're so big, there's so many levels of management, so much money moving in and out that they move insanely slow. Everything needs to be approved twice, sent up and down ladders, all that corporate cheese. And the marketing industry is probably the worst example of this, right? That whole like adult daycare theory of modern day jobs, that applies to marketing the most. And I say this as someone who used to work for a huge digital marketing firm, right? I've seen firsthand how fried some of these guys can be and the decision making that goes on. So, they can drop stupid amounts of cash into research and understanding demographics, but in the process, they'll completely miss the mark on like the most obvious shit. And this is a problem in most industries. You see it all the time now. It's why we got so many of these insane ads like Jaguar, even after it was clear that nobody was fucking with that. It's why a game made by 1,000 people can be worse than a game made by 100 people. It's why this new COD next year will still have fucking cartoon characters in it, even though the entire fan base made it very clear that they're sick of that being in the game. Corporate moves slow. So after this repeated failure of this woke strategy, the new corporate marketing strategy has finally made the switch. Someone just said, let's just put a pretty girl in some jeans. Let's just market our game that's about war with badass depictions of war. And who would have thought it's working, right? American Eagle was in the gutter Now it's like the only thing people want to talk about. This new Battlefield game everyone's so hyped for just broke a player record. And I didn't see any paraplegic women running around in the marketing rollout. Did you? That reminds me, actually, we're talking about women. My last video, there were so many comments that kind of like blew me away just in terms of like hating women and trying to use my video as a, lane to do that. And I just want to be clear, like, we do not hate women over here, like, at all. I have some dope women in my life. So if that bothers you, one, you're weird. You probably should unpack that. But two, you can unsubscribe. It's all right. We don't hate anyone over here except for Aaron Boone. I hate Aaron Boone. But back to the video. This Battlefield marketing campaign had no, look how much we care. Look at this group that we're including. There was none of that. It was doubling down on what originally made people like Battlefield, which is badass depictions of war, right? And I'm not saying I'm above any of this. Like, I can't lie. I think this new game looks pretty sweet, especially when you compare it to what fucking COD is doing with Rick and Morty's running around, dome piecing Nicki Minaj with a bong. It's an improvement. Like, this video is not a complaint. The Sydney Sweeney shit, same thing. It's like, I would rather look at this than what they were showing us before. It's easier on the eyes. I'm saying that I think it's important to see through what's happening right now. This isn't an indication that all of a sudden these companies are authentic and you should buy their shit because of that. These are the same companies with the same intentions. Evil EA is still the one selling you Battlefield. They're just doing it differently. And watch, COD's going to figure this out and they'll run that same cheese next year and everyone's going to be like, oh, we're so back with COD. Like, we got to get this new COD. It's the same reason they made the mannequins fat. It's making them money. It's, the buy our shit because we care has changed to buy our shit because we're authentic. And I think it's just important to recognize that, right? Because when this is no longer advantageous, that's a big word, I'm proud of that, they're going to go back to whatever it is. And this cutting of the bullshit, we'll call it, isn't just in advertising, right? I mean, look at the president of the United States. Political views aside, bro is clearly flawed in a bunch of ways. But the bottom line is he comes off authentically. He tends to say exactly how it is. Like that clip of him talking about Israel and Iran, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like, that shit was hilarious. Even his biggest haters can't watch that video and not sympathize in a way. Authenticity has become such a rarity the past few years that anytime we see it, we automatically resonate with it. Look at the resurgence of YouTube channels like my own. In a way, it's another example of this. I think people find this style refreshing because for years, we've all been watching the same, super filtered, edited, scripted shit. So it's nice to just go back to the basics where I can just turn my mic on and start talking my shit. You know what I mean? Another example of this for all my OG YouTube watchers, do you guys remember the FaZe house? FaZe has turned into this whole other thing, but it used to just be a group of kids chilling in some regular ass crib in Long Island making Call of Duty YouTube videos. And for some reason, bro, like, these videos slapped. I was probably 16 at the time, like barely even playing COD at this point, but I always tapped into the videos. Then all of a sudden they became massive. They move into this mansion in LA and I'm just like, what is this? All of a sudden it doesn't appeal to me anymore. There was like this Cloud House cheese. I remember just being like, I don't care about any of this. I'm off this. I was enjoying, them just sitting down playing COD and talking shit way more than them driving Ferraris and, making music videos. And there's a reason for that. The best things in life are the realest, right? Authenticity and being true to yourself, whether you're just a person or a brand or the president of the United States, is always going to appeal to people, right? So what we're witnessing right now is just these brands tapping back into that. So they're doubling down on what made them successful in the first place, right? There's a lesson there. You keep trying to appeal to a certain crowd or person, you only hurt yourself. And these big ass companies like Jaguar and Bud Light, they showed us that over and over the past couple of years. So I'm trying to learn from their recent success with this strategy on a human level. But as a consumer, I'm saying we got to stay suspicious, right? And I'm not saying this Battlefield game won't slap. I kind of want to cop it, to be honest. I might still do that. I'm just making a mental note of what's going on here. You got to remember, nothing comes out of a huge corporation like EA or American Eagle that will ever be real. It's always going to be calculated. Remember that. As a consumer, I think the move is to just buy shit that you actually want. Buy it because you want it, not because of how it makes you feel or what you think it represents. Like, fuck that. Just, life is too short for all that. I remember when this whole Bud Light controversy happened, I never stopped drinking Bud Light. I know people say it tastes bad, whatever. I've always enjoyed Bud Light. So I would get one at a Yankee game or, a bar, and there would always be someone like, yo, you're really gonna get that woke beer, bro? Like, what's good? You support that, bro? Every time I just laugh, I'd be like, dude, if I enjoy this beer, so I'm drinking this beer. If anyone's bugging, it's you for making your decisions based off what some moron in a boardroom thought would be a good idea for a marketing campaign. You know what I mean? Let the products speak for themselves. Who gives a shit about the marketing? Just don't even fall for it, right? So if Battlefield is good, it's going to be good. Don't think it represents something bigger. These companies just care about money, and that's really it, right? So moral of the story is don't be a sucker and fall for marketing. And I think, too, just be yourself. Like, don't be like Jaguar who tries to appeal to someone or fit a certain message. Fuck that. Just be yourself and buy things because they're good. So that's really it for me today, guys. Let me know what you think about this new shift in strategy. Thanks for all the love recently, and I'll talk to you later. Peace. So